Hello y'all, it's me. I am using my actual camera today, and we all know I'm not tech savvy. So bear with me while I try this new screen style. But it is time for our January wrap up, so let's get this started. How's everybody doing? I know times have been rough, but I totally agree. I seen this lady on Instagram. She was like, creatives, now is the time for y'all to do your thing because we need it. We're going to need to escape from the mess that is the daily world. So get to working. And I'm speaking to one creative in general right now. Granger. Baby, I need them books coming out like a daily paper, okay? The Drew Collin series. Mwah. It has been my reintroduction to fantasy. We'll chat about it a little bit later. I just want to come on here and recap the January reads. One, comment below. How many books did y'all read this month? If you only read one, that's fine. If you're in the book club and the only book you read this month was Real, that's cool too. Personally, I got in 13 books, y'all. 13 of them. Excluding this one because this was December's read and I just wanted to practice printing off the covers, so I just put this one on here. But all 13, but I ran out of room on my little book journal. We are here to recap, okay? And when I edit this, I am going to try to put the picture actually in the screen somewhere in this area. Let's start off. Our book of the month was Real by Kennedy Ryan. Hello, so good, right? Like I said, if you're still reading, I try not to put spoilers, but this video will contain some spoilers, so I'll make sure to put a warning on it, okay? Let's talk about it. This book was so good. It was so romantic. Canon, now, as we all know, if I remember the character's name, they were that guy, okay? They made me feel things. They made me be like, oh, this man did not come to play. He don't play. I love a man that don't play about that woman. Kenan did not play about Neva. Anyways, she's an actress coming up in the world, got together with this director, Kenan, and y'all, they hit it off from the beginning. He just played a grumpy Gills and was so mean and rude to her, but nevertheless, I have talked about this book in every video, so we're going to go right along. Rhythms Blues. Y'all, that book was good. And he didn't play about her either. But I'm honestly not remembering. Me and names, it's dates, names, I do not get along with. Like, I cannot remember nobody's anniversary. Birthdays, sure, but anywho, I gave this book 4 stars. It's about an occupational therapist who's dating a rapper. Child, he's a successful rapper though. And he doing her wrong. She ended up bumping into his producer. And y'all, they hit it off, okay? He was on her like white on rice from the beginning. So there's the gist of that. I'm giving y'all the brief rundown. Just in case y'all haven't read them. Because I hate spoiling a book for someone. A movie, I don't care, but a book, I'm gonna try and keep it cute. Then I read Spin About You by Brienne Dene. Girl, that book was good too. It's a novel, like a quick little read, and it's about these friends who go on this little like Friendsgiving trip, and one of the friends meets this guy there that's not a part of the friend group, but he comes in and like sweeps her off her feet. Then she ghosts him after. They have a time, and then she ghosts them, and then they bump into each other in these Kansas City streets. You know, you always see somebody you know in KC. Anyways, I liked it, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Psalm. This book is about these brothers. Psalm is one of the brothers, and his brother, they like run some kind of business. They all do something different, but they work for the family doing underground black market stuff. Psalm, he's taking care of his brother because his brother has an assassination attempt. It didn't go through, but the nurse hired to be his brother, he ends up falling for her. And he don't want to like her so bad. So bad. He be like mean to her. He don't talk to her. Like just rude AF. And they end up hitting it off too. And he turned her every way but loose, baby, in that house. Brother sick and all, just hunching. I gave that book 5 stars, baby, because it was good. It got 4 spicies too, because it's 4 spicies. All of mine are out of 5. So when I put 3, that's like meh. And I did realize that some of y'all said that my version, y'all basically called me a freaky frog, and I ain't like that. Because y'all was like, what you say is not spicy is spicy to me. And I'm like, okay, that's just how it is with food. Like, anyways. The Perfect Wife, and this is by Blake Pierce. Womp, womp, womp. So boring. I gave it 2 stars, no spices. I couldn't even tell you what this book was about. Oh, it was so boring to listen. And I listened to it on audiobook at work, y'all. It was so boring. I almost like didn't finish it, but my OCD will not let me not finish a book once I start. So I had to suffer through. 2 stars. Would not read again. Then I read the book Grown by Tiffany Jackson. I gave it 3 stars and 3 spices. There are some scenes in there, but it's a very heavy book, and I'm not recommending you read it. I recommend you read the synopsis. The trigger warnings are long, so read those too, and you decide if you're gonna read it or not. I personally thought the story was good. I just, not my favorite type of read, and I gave it 3 stars. The writing was really good though. She's a very good writer, and I like how the story like flowed. On to another book, Little Rot by I can't say it. I'm gonna put it on the screen. I gave this one 2 stars and 3 spices because it has like sex parties and stuff. It's got some scenes in here, but I was so confused on the plot, baby. I don't know what was going on in this book, and that is nobody's fault but the plot and my own, because I was like, what? Why? It's like following these 2 guys and these 2 girls, but really it's following, I don't even know who the main character is. I guess it's the party promoter friend that does the sex parties. I don't know, child. I'm not recommending that one either, but read it if you want to. You might have a different point of view than me. Okay, y'all, I had to come back and re-record because, again, I'm not tech savvy, and I could not get the whole original video to load. It's stressing me out, so I was like, forget it. I'll just come back and here we are, finishing up our January wrap-up. And yes, I am putting this in the video with the part that I have been working on editing. It only uploaded like 1/4 of the video, so whatever. We just have a few more books to discuss. I'm picking up at The Risk. This one's the Mindfucker series by S.T. Abbey. And as y'all know, these are my notes. Basically 4 stars, 2 spices, because they really didn't do nothing too spicy. They was like, you know, talking dirty or whatever to each other. But this book is about a lady and a detective. Now he meets her at a coffee shop because his friend like thinking, oh, I'm about to pull up on her, bag her, and she turned that friend down, and so he in turn buys her coffee. But little do he know, she's the murderer. Spoiler alert. She is the murderer who he is looking for. And they're looking for a man, per usual, because a woman wouldn't do this, a woman wouldn't do that. She is tearing people up. She is taking her vengeance out on the people who had her and her brother, who happened to be gay, fucked up when they was in high school. And she is killing everybody who attacked them. They were held down, tortured, berated, essayed, and raped for a long time, so much so that they left her for dead. And she totally changed her name, how she looked, because the attack made her change how she looked. And she's getting bent. She's killed every guy that was, and it was a group of guys that was in the room, and she is taking them out one by one. And the detective that she meets and happens to like, they're very cute together, is investigating the cases that she is responsible for, y'all. It's 5 series. It's 5 books in this series, and I only read 1. And at the end of book 1, I want to spoil it, but I'm not. The end of book 1 is a cliffhanger, so we gotta read the other ones. Then the next 2 to 5 books that I'm talking about are in a series. So we're starting off with Alexandria House, Them Boys series, the brothers Set, Ja, and Shu. They was turning the women every way but they was turning the women every way but loose. Okay, we're gonna talk about Set first. This is the oldest brother, and all 3 of them grew up in the same house, same mom and dad, but their dad was kind of he was abusive AF. He used to drag them out the middle of the night and make them fight him or make them fight each other. Like, I'm talking nighttime children's fight club. But that made them so like violent and rough, because Set turned into a semi-pro boxer, but he owns like a gym. And they all make, I like these books because the characters aren't like super rich throwing money. They like are normal, like, I don't know, affordable what? Rich, if that's not okay. Anyways, Set, he's like the oldest, and he owns a gym, and he goes to his high school reunion, his 20-year reunion from high school, but everybody was scared of him because he was tearing people up. He was fighting left and right, getting in trouble, and it's just because of the abuse at home. And so they meet, and he decides, like, I'm not trying to let you go, like, I want you. That's what he told her, for real. And then they get married, and you know, he turned her every way but loose, because they was doing like, he'd be like, hey, let's meet in Atlanta, let's meet in Texas, let's meet here. One day he was just like, hey, come to Vegas. And she was like, I thought we said we want to meet where each other live. And he was like, come to Vegas. And you know what she did? She went to Vegas. Can't even be mad. Then there's Ja. He's the middle brother, I believe. Got locks, real sexy. He owns an automotive shop where he fixes up cars and stuff. And he is a whore. He got bitches left and right. And I guess he actually meets Set's wife's friend when Set's wife had an issue, and she had to pick him up, but he needed a ride home. He hit it off. Like, they obviously did it. They hunched. And he turned her every way but loose, but they kept it on the low because nobody knew they was hunching until in the book Ja, Set and his wife had a little, like, her friend was like, oh, I'm going through it with my man, he cheating on me left and right, da 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 da, and her man ended up being Set or Ja's boss. Child, that book, Ja was messy. Of the 3 brothers, Set was my favorite because he had his stuff together. Yeah, he probably would knock somebody out, but he loved on her perfectly. Like, the way she needed to be loved, he did that. And I just, you know, Ja, he had a lot of mess. Because, he had a lot of mess. The groupies, the people, and he cut them all off for his girl. Don't get me wrong, because they got married too. Then there's Shu, which is the 3rd book and the final book, the baby brother. He's a construction worker, like blue collar guy. They all live within a means. And Shu, the baby, he got it the easiest out of all of them. He's still, and his easy was not easy, if that makes sense. Shu has 2 different color eyes, and he said that scared his dad. So when he finally beat him, his dad kind of left him alone and took it more out on Set and Ja. But the Shu is the one who, like, every night sits by his dad's side because he's contemplating killing his dad because his dad got like Alzheimer's. And he's like in a home, and his mom sits with him all day. She don't leave his side. And the thing is, he was never abusive to their mother, and that's how come they can love women properly, because he didn't do none of that crazy stuff with their mom. Only thing he did was like, don't show them no love. They gotta do it, And they all have issues with their mom and dad more than not. So Shu, he ends up liking his dad's night nurse because he sits in there after work. He works all day, goes to the nursing home, sits at his father's bedside contemplating killing that man for what he did to him and his brothers. And this nurse, every time he'd be ready to jump on it, the nurse, the CNA actually, she come in and is like, hey, I'm about to turn and change them, clean them up, blah, blah, blah. And he'd be like, eventually he was like, he always was checking her out. And finally he was like, you know, can I help? And they hit it off. But he's like, they have a big age gap. And I didn't like that. She was like 20 something. At the end of the day, the brothers had each other. And they all turned women every way but loose. So beware of a set of brothers that... Anyways, last but not least, the Drew Collins series. The one we were talking about at the beginning. Let's get into it. I'm going to try not to spoil stuff, but at this point, I am holding back too much. Like, I need to release. First book is The Secret Life of Maggie Gray. Second book is called The First Family. This is a fantasy, and it takes place in Atlanta. I will tell you some character names. There's a black cat named Quan. That should tell you all you need to know about the book, honestly. But HBCU, but grown people that happen to also be mythical, magical creatures. So witches, warlocks, vampires, werewolves, sirens, nymphs. Then there's like people who are mystics. It's got fairies, fae. Maggie Gray. She is this almost 30-year-old. And her granny tell her these stories from like when she was little about how like she was essayed and impregnated by a vampire. The book starts out very slow. This first family made a underground. It's called the Underground. And on that underground is a college campus called Drew Collins, where it's safe for all mythical creatures, and they're all black. It's safe for African American mythical creatures. So the first family is made up of vampires from the moon goddess Gia, who was the first vampire. She got turned when she was on a slave plantation, and basically her kids and their kids are the only ones. And the first family is banned from the college that I think I'm gonna call him doctor because I can't remember his full name, but he's the man who, you know, essayed Maggie Gray's grandma. And so she done told. And come to find out, her damn professor's a werewolf. That's not a spoiler. So he gives her this letter like, I think you should do this summer program, blah, blah, blah. You're not failing the class, but you're gonna go to this college. And he tell her how to get there. It's kind of like when Harry Potter was trying to find the 9 3/4. It's kind of like that. She meets her group of friends, Maggie the vampire. Oh, by the way, they think she's Gia reincarnated because she got bright white hair. And she, in the book, she was like, I died, fried, and laid to the side. That had me hollering. But she has tried everything to get her hair to be white. And so she be putting it in a doobie and covering it, or wearing her hoodie all the time, or a cap. And she just hide it. But in the story, her grandma was like, yeah, and that's how come you have that hair like that. She gets on the train and she meets this girl named Susie. But they spell it how they do down in Louisiana with the X in there. And she's a witch. And her daddy is a trip. He's gay, and he's seen a beautiful woman and said, me and you will make a beautiful baby. And they made this gorgeous, gorgeous girl. Everybody's attracted to her, and she plays quiet, but Susie crazy. Everybody be like, it's the people who can see. And when I say see, you'll know what I mean. The seers, they be like, nah, she is mental health and it's something off about her. Y'all got to be careful around her. But Maggie like, nah, she cool. That's Susie, blah, blah, blah. And then they meet Asha, who's a siren, but she's the first sirens. And I guess there was Asha's tribe, and they got wiped out, and she's the only lone survivor. So of course she's a legacy at this Drew Collins college. And Asha and Maggie are the same age. I think Maggie's like a year older, but they almost 30. So I'm thinking 29 and 28, or 28 and 27. Either way, Asha is so real. She's one of my favorite characters because she's got like the tribal burns that go, I know because she showed her ass in class because they kept calling her Scarface, but they burned them, and then also down her body and her back, it's all the burns. But she got locks, and she sounds so pretty. And then there's Isis, who we meet a little later in the first book, or it might be the beginning of the second book, because the story just picked up, so I'm considering these 2 books, but they're really just 1 book continued. I don't mind. Anyways, then there's Isis, and they make up the trio. But then there's Quan the cat, He is obviously somebody who got turned into a cat from a spell. And then there's Hillary, who is Susie's roommate, and she is so sweet. And I never found out what her powers was, so I think she was just like a seer or like some kind of mythical thing, but she wasn't like the rest of them. End up hitting it off. They like go through all the regular like people trying to haze you at college, and I'm telling you now, Maggie and Asha was like, the way they asked how old people was, and then would be like, that makes sense, like child. At this Drew Collins, because it's a safe haven for all black mythical beings, that they accept children on up. And so, and of course the babies are separated and all that, but then there's Namir. Y'all, they wolves. Him and his brother Tai are like the leaders, but Tai's the head of the wolf pack, and they have a sister named Maze. You know, they're all the worst. They be like, all through the books, and we ain't seen it yet, they like, don't piss these two off, do not make them mad, do not make them mad. But when they find out Maggie's coming, because their uncle is Maggie's teacher in the real world in Atlanta, but they're in the underground now, he was like, no, you got to befriend her, because the first family ain't claiming her, and they're at war. The vampires and the werewolves are at war per usual. Like, why they can't get along? Y'all be friends. Everybody's sexy. Calm down. Oh, the way she described both sides, I'm like, why can't y'all fine asses just be nice to each other? God dang. At war, and they like, we got to get to the Gia reincarnate Maggie and let her know, like, we ride with her, whatever. Because when Namir first met her, he's disgusted. But then he fought for her. At one point, y'all, he was yelling at her, and I was like, I had to take a break, because I was like, in real life, what would I do if a motherfucker rode up on me like that? He was like, she found out a big secret that even her mama didn't know, because it got blocked out by the granny, and she was trying to get to the bottom of her shit, but he was like, where you at? Because they been playing will they won't they, and Maggie was like, well, since you my man, and he was like, wait, what, I'm your man? Like, oh no, you know. They were just cute. Yeah, they are hunching. And the sirens don't like the nymphs, because according to the legends, I guess in the book, that it goes, Asha's people, who were the first to be on land and look human. Then it goes sirens, then nymphs, and the sirens are supposed to look down on nymphs, but everybody's supposed to be upholding to Asha. And the only reason they tracked her down, Asha had a rough childhood too. She was in labs. They were poking, prodding, touching her, and drowning. They were like trying to make her drown to make her do something, and she never could, because her family was wiped out before they could teach her. I.e., exactly what happened during slavery. Just saying. In the second book and in the first book, there's a murder. Somebody is murdering people. I feel like it's trying to start a war. And they think it's Maggie who did it, because she's supposed to be Gia reincarnated. And the first family is not on campus. They're not allowed on campus except for the doctor who created it, because they're so violent and brutal. And they really are that, but they're not that at the same time. I thought it was Bellamy. I thought Bellamy did the murder. And I won't tell y'all who in the friend group got murdered, but I think it's Bellamy that did it. But then I kept reading the second book, and I said, oh no. The motherfucking wolves did 2 books, and I think 3 or 4 murders. It's so many plots, and they flow so well that I feel like I'm jumping all over, but just take this as like little nitbits out there. These books were so good, y'all. I enjoyed reading them. And word on the street at the end of the first family said that the 3rd book in this series would be out on New Year's. I done found Grager's inbox. I mean, her I'm trying to stay out her inbox, but I done found her IG. And I'm trying so hard not to be like, girl, you stay in Atlanta. I mean, your city. Can we meet for Starbucks? My treat. Bring your laptop. I'm trying to read something. Please. Her post that the 3rd book was supposed to be about this character named Bellamy, who's a vampire. Y'all, his first introduction to the book, I think it was Maggie who asked him a dumbass question. And he was like, you know, I got 2 dumb he was like, I got 2 dumb girls tied up at my house right now, and I switch them out when I wear one out. And I said, She needs to step away from this. Get the fuck out of there, Maggie! Run! Don't ask this man nothing else. Good. I mean, I can't say he was ugly. And he's when I'm gonna put the cover's gonna be right here. I'll put the cover somewhere. And y'all gonna see. Granger, please. Please, girl. New Year's done came and passed. I hope you talk about 2025 because we need it. The streets is saying we need 2 more Granger books in 2025. If you ask me who the streets is, it's me. I'm the streets. It's me. The Drew Collins series by Granger, 5 stars. I'm giving it 4.5 spices because it's some stuff in there that I even was like, what the fuck? That's all I got for the January wrap up. So my top January picks are number 1, Drew Collins series by Granger. And then Real by Kennedy Ryan is number 2. And if I had to pick a third, I would pick Psalm. All of those books I gave 5 stars. With that, I say, make sure y'all like, follow, and subscribe. And I will be seeing you in the next one. Bye.